Madam President, it's always a privilege to come to the floor of the United States Senate. I always feel humbled by that because I think of the people who have spoken on this floor since 1859. And I'm always measured in what I try to bring in terms of thought or whatever, but today is a special sense of responsibility. Senator Coons and I have been chosen to lead our colleagues in honoring Johnny Isakson today. What we just heard was historic, I believe. It's not the first time that we've had a speech on this floor that addressed that topic, nor will it be the last, I would predict. But we just heard Johnny admonish us to judge with our conscience and our heart. And with that, I feel somewhat unworthy to try to address what I feel and what he also talked about is his heart. Today is truly a bittersweet occasion. It's bitter because my friend, my mentor, and partner in the United States Senate, Johnny Isakson, is stepping down at the end of this month. For those of us who know this man, this is tough to come to grips with. I'll dearly miss him on many levels. I'll miss having him here in the United States Senate alongside me. I'll miss his words of wisdom. I'll miss his patience. Most of all, I think I will miss his example. However, we can still find joy in this occasion, I believe, as Johnny and I and Diane head into the next chapter of their lives with their family. All of us can take time to reflect who Johnny is and what his public service has truly meant to not only us individually, and not just to the constituents in our state, but to America. Johnny has actually meant the world to me. And for longer than I've been in the United States Senate, Madam President. When I got involved in the political process, I'd never been personally elected to anything. Maybe in the 8th grade, you know how that goes. But this was a radically different experience than I personally had ever had. And Johnny helped me personally with that transition. He gave me advice. He befriended me. He introduced me to the colleagues here in the Senate. He's been the best partner anyone could ever ask for. I remember the best advice he ever gave me. I just shared this with our colleagues at lunch. He said, David, I only have one piece of advice for you. Keep your head down, your mouth shut, and don't ever vote against a farm bill. That was his advice, and it was sage, and I've listened to that. But over the last 5 years, and Johnny, it's hard to believe, it's been 5 years. To Diane, I'm sure it seems like 5 lifetimes, but in the last 5 years, Johnny's advice has stuck with me on many levels. A lot of people in this town know how to talk. Just stick around. Johnny has shown us how important it is to listen and learn from each other. He's shown us how to work together on behalf of not just ourselves or our next re-election, but truly for the people who put us here. Johnny's a true public servant. I said at lunch, you know, next to the word servant in the Webster Dictionary is a picture of Johnny Isakson. He's devoted to getting results, not just for the people of Georgia, but for everybody in the United States. Most importantly, he does it in a way that really is worthy of this august body. Now, I know this body has had controversy throughout the last 230 years. That's part of what makes us great, is that we have differing opinions. But somehow, in the last 230 years, we found a way to put those aside to find compromise. I made a living in business for 40 years, finding ways to compromise with people who had different views than I did. One example of Johnny's statesmanship was with his longtime friend, Georgian, another great Georgian, Zell Miller, who happened to be a Democrat. Zell was a former governor of Georgia and a United States senator. Last year, he sadly passed away. What most people forget is that Johnny actually, early in his career, ran for governor against the same Zell Miller, who ended up being, as Johnny calls him, the best friend he's ever had. When Zell Miller passed away, Johnny was asked to speak, and he spoke on this floor. In that speech, and I quote, he said that Zell Miller, and I quote, was an individual I met through politics, became one of my best friends through politics, and probably had more influence on my life than anybody else I know in public service. That's a Democrat that Johnny Isakson is talking about. Now, Saxby Chambliss and I get a little bit upset about that occasionally, but Johnny, that's a big deal. Thank you. It's almost hard to believe that Johnny and Zell used to be political opponents. Despite their political differences, Johnny and Zell remained close friends up until Zell's death. In fact, Zell even appointed Johnny as chairman of the Georgia Board of Education 7 years after Zell had beaten him in that same governor's race. We can have strong differences and rigorous debates, but we should always be civil and respectful to one another, Johnny says, and Johnny lives that out every day. I've said before that Johnny Isakson is the Howard Baker of our time. Why do I say that? What do I mean? Well, Johnny doesn't talk a lot, but when Johnny talks, people listen. And what we just witnessed was, I think, historic. The paper that was on the podium in front of Senator Isakson just now was not a speech. I want everybody to understand this. It was a list of the 50 United States senators who've asked to come to this floor over the next few hours and give honor to this man as he goes into retirement. What we just saw was straight from the heart, better than anybody I've ever witnessed, and in a way that I will truly always remember. Truly, when Johnny talks, people listen. It doesn't matter if you're a young child, a member of his staff, a colleague, or the President of the United States. Not only do people listen to Johnny, but I will add one thing to what I've been saying for the last 5 years. When other people talk, Johnny Isakson listens. That's a rare commodity in this town, trust me. If you need help, Johnny Isakson is always there. We all know now that Johnny will no longer be with us in this body every day. But we know he'll still be around to help us in any way he can. I'm hoping he'll still call me and give those pieces of advice that have been so valuable over the last 5 years. I know he'll answer my call when I call him and ask for that same advice. But I want to leave the body with this thought today. And I think it echoes what he just said. And I prepared these remarks some time ago in thinking about today. In the New Testament in the Bible, in Matthew 23, it says that the greatest among you will be the servant. And today, I want to remind everybody in this body that the greatest among us is Johnny Isakson. Johnny, it's been a true blessing. God bless you and Diane, your family. America will always be in your debt. Thank you for everything. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you, Johnny. God bless you.